When you do that kind of thing, you shouldn't be surprised when there's a lot of protests during a survey or otherwise situations. It occurs when regulators stifle debate on issues of public importance, as, for example, the NED was said to did with respect to greenhouse gases on the pipeline hearings. Or when regulators are seen to lack the relevant expertise necessary to plumb some issues or to hold opponents accountable. And then finally, there's this odd question of when the courts fail in their oversight duties. I understand the court decisions on the requests for judicial review that we've seen on Swain and other matters. The courts essentially say, well, judicial review is not the place to argue any service. Better than civil action come back another day after the court. But when the court went further and said, let's say in the case of the Federal Court of Appeal, that there was nothing in the statute, the Environmental Assessment Act, that required Her Majesty to consider Aboriginal rights. Therefore, they didn't have to. In fact, they did this proof that the place is pretty good. Carry on. Boy, that's the favorite of the courts. That's, I think, fairly rare. But when it happens, it's kind of exciting. Proponents fail when they insist on the full authority of discredited formal mechanisms. Think of the Tessico and its insistence, despite sort of turnarounds, on building the prosperity line. And ignoring, and I say the Supreme Court on Aboriginal title. Social waste and controversies can occur at certain levels. Victoria, Oak Bay in particular, is notorious for its NIMBYisms and vast protests that occur on minor rezoning. Bike lanes in Vancouver is another nationally and internationally, nice ones. The legitimacy of the Northern Irish government in the context of what's happening in European politics. Scottish independence, for that matter, the way of Brexit and so on. The Greek and the Italian debt crisis, which are going to end in riots and tears. Social license issue arises in the middle of the spectrum, which starts with sound rolling and ends with civil disobedience and violence. It doesn't include either end of that spectrum, in my view. It's a phenomenon in the middle, which can go either way, which is amenable to argument and to reason. It's a stage in issues where people are still willing to talk to each other before they take the barricades. Now, there's a number of reasons why we're seeing a lot more the way in which certain judges have been dealt with in cases of sexual violence, the way in which the immigration debate has been handled in this country, I think is a positive one. So it helps if the people who take these leadership roles don't have any particular access to learning. It's inevitable that many of the most well-informed people are going to be people whose lives and jobs are involved in these issues. But it's also helpful if there's some, as it were, third-party evaluation. We do need to worry about the reform of formal dispute settlement reconciliation mechanisms. The present government has underway a review of the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act and of the National Energy Board Act. That's all good. British Columbia could certainly do with comparable things here. We need to avoid hypocrisy. This is for politicians in this particular. We need to avoid politicians that are hypocrisy and midnight legislation. Politicians who overpromise with election campaigns, and then are short on delivery, only breed the cynicism in which social discord takes root. We need regulators who are up to snuff.